If you have been following this series, just want to assure you that this is the 5th and the last series for this tutorial. Okay, so from the last session, which is the 4th where we ended, we've added the formula for the operations. We've also updated the input fields to correspond to each operation, such that when we open our browser, we could see the output to be like this. When we select any operation we want to check for, the number of inputs that comes with this operation will be appended. So that's the point we are, where we stopped. And where we are now is to add the function for this calculate button. So when I click on this calculate button, you should go ahead and check for the values I entered. After doing this, I would also want us to append to the operations those formulas that we check for the statistical calculations. So guys, let's do it. Okay, hit the notification bell and make sure you comment in the comment section whatever you think about this tutorial, whether you find it meaningful, whether you find something that is lacking. I would like to hear you out from the comment section. All right, let's get back to our VS Code, Video Studio Code editor, where we're working with. Remember, on the right side here is the HTML, and here on the left pane is the JavaScript part. So I want us to dive immediately to the part where we shall be performing the operation. So let me comment to perform the calculation. All right, so let me now call that calculate button that we initially saved as variable, which is this thing you're seeing here. So calculate button is a variable already saved. So it gets me this ID, the ID in our HTML that has this name calculate. All right, so remember, we've been written this thing correctly. So calculation. I want to add an event listener to this. So add event listener. I want to add an event listener of what? Of click. So that when I click on it, what should happen? It should go ahead and perform this function. And I would like to write using this arrow notation format. Now, when it performs this function, what should it do? I would like to save this again or enter it here. So I'm copying it and then I'll paste it here. So once this is selected, once it gets the operation, selected operation and gets the value, I want to add an alert of if the user clicks on this calculation button, if the user clicks on this button without selecting any of this operation, you should tell the user, dear user, you've not selected any operation, so go back and select another operation. So let's just do that using the if command. Okay, so I'm trying to add that alert now. If selected operation. Now, in this case, if this command is true, now we really want to negate this. How do we negate it? We add that negation, the negation command here. So this exclamation mark negates it. So it now means that if the selected operation is not chosen, so if one does not select from the operation, okay, so it should go ahead and alert the user saying, we put that in a string, you have not selected any mathematical operation. All right, after that, it should return. Now, if we reload our web page, if we reload and click on this calculate, ordinarily should work, it should do that. But why is it not doing it? Let's actually check our console. So how do you check your console? Click on any of the free space, right click on it, and then click inspect. Then you see this console. The console is like the terminal for Python. You could see what it is telling us, where the error is coming from. It is reading a null, which means that this has not been defined on line 50. All right, so let's go back to our code and check what happens on line 50. Now, On line 50, we are having this event listener, which is this. So maybe we've not called the correct ID, I guess. I'm just thinking aloud. So I think we should now check our HTML and see if we are having any wrong stuff there. So let's see where we save this ID. We saved it using calculate, calculate. I just found out that here we are having a wrong name that is not synchronizing with what we have on the JavaScript. Okay, so let's just change it immediately and get it correctly. So calculate is now the same with what you have here. Oftentimes it is necessary you copy what you have in the HTML and put it like that in the JavaScript so that you don't make this kind of mistake. Because when you make the mistake, it might be difficult for you to debug the error. Okay, so let me refresh or reload this page and then click on this calculator again. Wow, the alert command we added has been shown. So the error is no longer there. I can now close the console tab. Let's proceed to enter the remaining commands so that we perform this calculation for us. Remember, we've added an event listening function to this. So the next thing we'll do now is to select all the input element that is inside the input div container. All right. Let's go ahead and save that as a variable. I still name it a constant variable input. Okay. I'm assigning this input to array, an array of what? That is from this input div. Okay, input div, not just the input div, but it gets all the, it selects all the input that's inside this input div. So input div dot query selector, which remember I could use get element by ID, but here I'm doing query select all what? All elements of input. So input, then come out of it. I want us to use this map dot. The map dot input will help us, or dot map input will help us to iterate over. It's a JavaScript function that iterates over each input. So it goes over and over each input, extracting its value. So input, then performing the function to using this pass float command. So input dot value. Okay, so not just the input but the value of that input. Now another thing we would add is to add an event listening function so that we will now add a, what's it called, add a an alert so that if the user does not enter the correct figures, an alert command will be shown. Okay, still using the if command. If what? If input dot sum. This sum is a JavaScript command that helps to check when all conditions are not met. Okay, value using arrow notation is not a number. That is the meaning of this is NaN, is not a number. So go ahead, check for that value, and then perform this function. Okay, what function should it perform? Alert. Dear user, you have not added the required figures. Okay, so in that case, it returns to the command. So return. If we check for this now, we'll see it integrated. Without reloading this page, if I select this and click on calculate, this alert is not yet integrated because I'm not reloaded this page. So now let me reload this page. Select that area of a circle I selected before. Click on calculate and then I expect it to display that command, but it is not displaying. So why? Now let me check my console and check for the reason why it is not so. Okay, so go to the console. It is showing syntax error on line 61. Okay, now let's check what is happening on line 61. Syntax error on line 61. Okay. Uh, if input dot some value is not number value, um okay, what ordinarily could be the error? Okay, um there is line 61, and this is line 61, return command. Okay, let's see if this. All right, I think having seen this, we should have been able to decode what the error is. Okay, like going back to our browser, when we saw that it was displaying a syntax error, I just realized that we are writing these commands outside the block code. Outside the block code, okay? This should have been inside the code of the event listening handle we did. So ordinarily, for us to get this correctly, remember if you check our web browser, it is showing this error, syntax error. So that if you click on this, it does not check for those things we added. So we have to go back to it and make sure we cut this part and push it back to be inside this block code so that it listens for this event of click and then performs the function. All right, so we paste it, indent this properly. Even if you do not do it that way, it will still work. Okay, I like putting the period at the end of the whole thing. So if we go back and reload this page now, you see the error has disappeared. Remember, the first alert we added is this. If you click on this without selecting the operation, it will show you you've not selected any mathematical operation. Now if you decide to select any mathematical operation and you did not put in the units that are supposed to be inside the input field and click calculate, this alert will show you you've not added the required figures. All right, so thank you for paying attention. Let's continue adding because we've not even checked for the to calculate the operation, so that even when we enter the correct values, how is it going to calculate the figures for us using the formulas we've keyed in. Okay, so keep paying attention. We are getting there gradually. You are really on the right track. So having done that, let's now come out of this line of conditional statements and put another condition. All of them are still inside this long quote of add event listening handle of click. We are not going to put this outside it. Okay, so if in brackets operations select, so first of all operations selected operation, so if the selected operation and if its inputs inputs dot include a comma separated numbers, this will check for the statistical operation we are yet to add the functions. command, not command, comma separated numbers. Okay, if it includes that, then what should it do? It should go ahead and perform this function. What function should it perform? Let's save this as variable. So giving it a name of numbers is assigned to input div, not just input div, but getting the input element. So query selector getting the input element that has been appended to that input div. Okay, now it does not just get that input element, but it gets the value. Now we are using this split command of JavaScript that is similar to that of Excel to split the comma separated numbers using a specified delimiter. This delimiter we are putting it inside strings, okay, and it is comma. Now we are using this map again, which is a JavaScript function that iterates over a set of numbers, okay, and uses these parameters to pass in the function. Okay, so number using the arrow notation function, pass float, then it takes this parameter num.stream. This is a JavaScript function that cuts extra spaces in between. Okay, so having done that, let's proceed to the next line by adding the result value. What should appear in the result value? So not div now, result value, which you already saved initially as a variable. Okay, it checks for the text content of this result value and assigns it to the formula of those operations select. Okay, so operations selected operation. Okay, at the end we put in the formula which we are going to key in as well in the statistical calculation using these rest parameters, triple dot with numbers. It's known as rest parameters in JavaScript. Okay, if this condition is not met, what then should happen? Else you should go ahead and perform this function we are adding now. So I'm copying that, and then as copied it, I paste it here. I want to change this number that I added here to input. So this input is the inputs that we've added to other ones that are not comma separated numbers. Okay, so remember when we keyed in the formulas here, these ones are not comma separated numbers, but I'll still put in the one that are comma separated numbers. Okay, all right, so just keep being on track. We're getting it to you. Okay, that having been said, let us quickly make the result space to now display for the user to see, because ordinarily this has already checked for the answers for us, but the user won't even see the result or the output of what the calculation is made, because we set the result display to be none. We set the result display to be none. Okay, so in this case, let's now set the result div, which is that div where the result should be. Check for the style, get the display attributes, and then set it to be what? Block. Let me even comment this part so that you see the effect of what I'm saying. So doing that, I commented it and I saved it. So let's go back to the page, reload it. Now I click on area of a square. Area of a square is 5 raised to power 2, and click on calculate. It has been calculated though. You could see the answer. Okay, you can't see it now because we set the display to be none initially. If I had said console.log, this very thing now, you will see it on the console. Of course, see the part which is known as the console, you will see it here. But I didn't say console.log. Now let's set that result display to be shown. So let me uncomment this part. So it's now part of the work. So I refresh or reload the page. Select the area of a square again. Add the same value I added before. Click on calculate. Wow! We are seeing the result as 25. 5 raised to power 2 is what? 25. I hope it's making meaning now. It's making much meaning to you. Okay, so I would like to make this section, this part to be bold. So let me go and bolden it. Simply, what do? I would even do it using JavaScript or using CSS, but I want to do it using the JavaScript now. So let me copy this and then paste it. The only thing I will change here is what? Font weight. So I'm setting the font weight to be what? Bold or even 700. So if I reload my page, reload the web page, and still putting the parameters or the figures I set in before, still 5, which is area of a square, it will still give me 25. Now it is in bold. Okay, stay put. We are not yet done. I would like us now to append the statistical operations or the calculations. Okay, so done with this part. Let me add some other thing in the HTML. Okay, in the HTML, I would want us to add mode and then variance. Okay, they are also part of the statistical operation we could check for. Mode. So I'm changing this variance to mode, and what the user is gonna see here will still be mode. Okay, mode. Let me add the standard deviation as well. Now I will leave you with the option of checking how you can get or add the formula that we calculate interquartile range, quartiles, kurtosis, skewness, as well as other statistical calculation you could check for in your mathematics or what you can do in this JavaScript. So here I want us to change this as well to standard deviation. Okay, standard. Of course, if you don't add these values here in your HTML, even if you put in whatever thing you could do in your JavaScript, it will still not do it. Okay, so this value is important. These values are important. That's why I have to append them in the HTML. Now let's go over to the JavaScript. The first thing I would like us to add here is the mean. Okay, of course you could see that it is the first among the statistical operation here. All right, so here let's define the formula for mean. Remember that formula for mean is total, like summation of numbers divided by the total number that occurred. Okay, if you have, for instance, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 6 numbers. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6. Whatever it gives you, divide by 6. That gives you the mean. Okay. It seems to be what you people see as average. Okay. It could just be average, but in statistics we see it as mean. It is mean. Mean is mean. All right. So let's quickly add the function that will check our mean for us. Okay. Remember, you must write the correct thing you have in the HTML. Okay, so mean curly braces formula. In this case, it is taking the rest parameters, which I said earlier, dot numbers. So remember, this is a known as a rest parameter that allows, you know, the function to accept any number of arguments as an array, okay. That's why we use pass float to convert this array into strings, and then the map dot, when we use it, it iterates it and then gives us its number back again as, you know, numbers no longer as strings. Okay, so let's get at it. So it should go ahead and perform this function. What function will it perform? Now we'll add another JavaScript function that I've not used before, numbers.reduce. What does this reduce do? You know, how is it being made to work in JavaScript? Okay, so it's a method that iterates through an array and combines the elements based on a provided callback. Okay, so it does that based on a provided callback. You understand now? In that case, so when we are checking for the mean, we will now say numbers dot reduce. Now we provide a callback in this order. A, which is known as accumulator, and then B is the current number. Now, this A is set to be at an initial value of 0, so that 0 plus, okay, so it now becomes the initial number is 0, the rest, the current number will now be 0 plus what is that number, plus what's another number, or what's another number, it goes that way. Okay, so you're getting the gist now. Okay, so let's go on. It takes that callback and then performs this function. Let's still use this arrow notation function. Of course, why I keep mentioning this is that there are other ways we could perform this function, not just using arrow notation. We could write it as function and then write it in a different way. So, but I prefer using this. Okay, plus p, comma. Remember, the initial value of that accumulator is set at 0. So this is how we do it. Now divide by all this added together, divide by numbers dot length. You remember what that does in JavaScript. So length checks for how many is that array. How many is that array? If it is 10 all over 10, okay? So in this case, the input that will be taken is remember when we added this comma separated numbers, I told you we'll be needing it for the statistical operation. So I just want to copy it to make sure we're having the same thing over there. So I paste it, Control V. All right. So after the mean is the median. So I want to copy that median and to make sure we're having the same thing. Okay. So median has two ways of checking for it. Okay, of course the formula for median is where after arranging or sorting the numbers given to you in an orderly manner, then it checks for the middle number when it has odd ending. So when you have 5 lengths of figures, 1 2 3 4 5, the middle number there is 3. What happens when the number ends as even number? When it is 6, 1 2 3 4 5 6. So what's going to be the median? So you are going to add the two middle numbers, 3 and 4, I guess, yes, 3 plus 4, all over 2 divided by 2. So that's how you check the median. So it gives you 3.5. All right, so let's quickly enter that formula and then put the rest parameter. The statistical operation will be doing using that all through. Okay, numbers should go ahead and perform this function. Now, in this case, we'll first of all say median. Why is it showing me on the line? Okay, let's finish entering it. So I'm saving a as variable, constant variable. Okay, let me see. And okay, I needed to add this comma here. I needed to add this comma. All right. So that's why it is showing this red line on the median. In this case, what are we saving as variable? It is supposed to be, let's assign it to numbers dot sort. It is sorting what numbers, whatever parameters or whatever numbers we pass in, A, which is always the initial or the accumulator noun B. Now it uses this to perform the function A to B. Okay, in that case, let's save another using this variable name const mid equals math.floor. Remember, we've been using this math dot before now. We've used it in the fourth episode where we talked about math.py, math.power raised to power, math.square root. Now we're talking about math.floor. This math.floor is usually used to round down a particular number to the nearest integer, So when we have 4.5, it rounds it down to 4. Minus 4.7 will be rounded down to minus 5 because minus 4 is higher than minus 5. I guess you're getting the gist. Okay. So yeah. So it rounds it down, not rounding it up. Okay. So in this case, math.floor is taking sorted, which we already saved as variable, and gets the length of sorted to know what length is it, and then divides it by 2. Okay, we've saved that with the name mid. It's very important. Now it returns what? Sorted dot length, sorted dot length modulus. Remember this mathematical or arithmetical operator modulus 2, and the remainder is equal to in value and in data type 0. You should go ahead and do what? This is checking for when it is even. Sorted mid minus 1 plus sorted mid, okay, all the same, divide by 2. So in this case, it checks for when it is even. Sorted mid. Okay, hope I'm not boring you with this. Finally, the last thing we'll do now is to put this input that it will take as usual. So input will still be comma separated numbers. Okay, so I shall put it here, comma separated numbers. Simple. At the end, I still put this comma, and then we'll go for the next one, which is range. Okay, we check for the next one, which is range. So I'm copying this range. Simple. Range can just be done, of course, checks for the maximum minus the minimum. Simple and short. So let's do that very fast. Why it seems this median took time is that there are two ways we can get that median. So it checks for it when it ends as an even number and when it ends as an odd number. All right. In this case, it is still taking the rest parameters, numbers, and it uses that to perform the function. Goes for max, max.max, so maximum number, maximum of what? Numbers. Minus math.mean, minimum of what? Numbers still. All right. In that case, this is supposed to be 3. All right. We are gradually heading there. So we quickly put in these comma separated numbers, which is the input that it will take. So I don't know, I've changed what I have on my clipboard. Okay, I copied that, enter it here immediately. At the end of the show, put the comma. So in this case, we've appended this mean, median, range. So let's actually check the output and see if it is giving us what we want. Okay, I refresh the page. Let me check for mean. Okay, it has been appended. So let me say I'm checking for the mean of 2, 3, oh, okay, 2, 4, 6. 2, 4, 6. It's not yet given. So what could be the problem? What could the problem be? So let's check our console immediately and see what's wrong. It is showing uncut error, uncut reference error. Number is index.js29 not defined. Okay, object formula. Okay, all right. That's not a big deal. Index.js73. Okay, let's check that. 73 and what again? There are two numbers it gave us, 73 and 29. So number 29 mean, which is what we have here, numbers that reduce. Maybe we've not entered the correct thing or we're missing something. Okay, numbers dot length. The formula is actually correct here. Then let's check that 73. Result value, const numbers, mark.num, num trim. Okay, I'm still checking to be sure we're not having anything wrong. Result value does test content. Nothing is wrong here. At least this part is correct. 73 result div. Let's just check again on our console and see where we are getting it wrong. And just so you know, I just found out where the error is coming from. Okay, in the line 29, it showed us we are expected to be having these numbers added s, but we are having number. So I reload the page and I've saved the page again. So let's check our browser. I reload it. Okay, I guess the error will not be shown again. Okay, let me quickly check for that mean again. The numbers I entered before are 2, 4, 6. Result NaN. Why? It's not a number. Why will it do so? Let me check for median and know whether it's still the same thing. 2, 4, 6. NaN still. Then let's check and know where this problem is coming from. Okay, so if this is NaN, go ahead and perform this function. Plus or minus operation const numbers into div the split. Not supposed to be so. Selected operation dot formula. Why the first one ends numbers, the second one inputs. Um, Operations, selected operation, query selector, repeat, dot value, dot split, map, num, pass flows, non-trim. So why the we've not entered this correctly? So ordinarily the num trim is a function ordinarily that should check and trim the empty space. So we should have added this open bracket that makes it trim the strings to trim it. Okay, so you could see why it is showing us that NaN. Now let me refresh this page and still enter min 246. Okay, simple. 4 is the mean. And even if I check for median 246, 4 will still be the median. Why? Because it is the middle number when sorted in ascending or descending order. Okay, so we are at it. We've also added the function for range. Remember, range is the highest minus minimum. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So in this case, highest minus minimum. On your own, you should know that 7 is the highest and minimum is 1. So 7 minus 1 should give you 6. Okay, all right. At least at this point, you should be able to say you've learned something, meaning you've gained knowledge. You've gained knowledge watching this video. Okay, maybe this is taking longer than I expected, but let us finish up with the variance and mean deviation. Now, adding mode and standard deviation. Let me just give you a secret. Standard deviation is the square root of variance. Okay, so if you're able to get the variance, you on your own should also be able to add the function for standard deviation. Okay, and mode is highest in occurrence. All right, so let me quickly add that of variance and then the mean deviation so that we'll wrap up this tutorial. We've stretched it so much and I do not want to continue stretching it. I just want this to be the last part. Okay, so let's add the formula for variance. I copy it to make sure we are not missing something. So variance, let me also copy that because I'll just change few things, or rather I should even copy that of mean. Well, let me just enter this. Okay, I copy this because I'll be needing this numbers, and it uses this to perform the function. Okay, um, normally that should be a closing. So go ahead and perform this function. In that case, let us save the mean as a constant because the formula for checking variance is summation of number raised to power 2 minus mean all over the total number. In that case, you must get the value for mean. So let's save it as a constant variable with the name mean. So const mean is equals, what do we have as a formula for mean? Numbers dot reduce. So I'm copying it all over total number length. So I'm copying till that part. So saving mean with that, with its formula. And then we go ahead to enter others. Having done that, how then do we subtract this mean from the numbers? All right. You should go ahead and return for us. Numbers dot reduce summation of n using this to perform the operation sum plus math. Remember how we normally add raised to power. Math.par. The parameters it is taking or the callback will be n minus, we've saved mean, so mean, then raised to power 2. Setting the initial number to be at what? 0. Okay, 0. All over numbers dot length. As simple as that. It will still take the input command we normally use. So as simple as that. It's your command here, input. So this is a comma we're using to separate one formula from another. So having added variance, let's quickly add that of mean deviation. Mean deviation is similar to that of checking for variance. Okay, in this case there will be no raised to power, so it will just be easier. So let me copy down to this part and remove some of the things I do not want, but there will be no raised to power in this case. So I still need this constant mean because I'll be needing mean here. So because the formula for this is now n minus mean all over the total number. So in this case, there's no raised to power. So I'm returning numbers dot sum and using that maths dot absolute number. So in this case, ABS. All right. So absolute number, making sure that the number is an integer. Number minus mean. There is no raised to power. Setting the initial number to be at 0. Dot numbers dot length. All right. That is for. And we also make sure that we're having it is returning with this input comma separated numbers. Okay. So let me run this page. Even without running it, and I choose mean deviation, you could see that it has not appended the input. But let me refresh it now and choose mean deviation. The input has been appended. And if I put in 246 and calculate, oh, not defined. JS number 42, not defined. Okay. It's always good to run this, check when you are getting something wrong, and then work on it. Okay, 42. Here we are putting comma instead of dot reduce. That's why it is showing us not defined. Okay, all right. So numbers dot reduce and not comma. So let me rerun the page and still choose that mean deviation and still enter 246. Wow, 1.33. As simple as that. If I check for variance, it should be about 1.66 if I still enter the same numbers, 2, 4, 6. All right. So, oh, still showing undefined. Maybe we made the same mistake there. All right. So make it numbers dot reduce. Let me reload the page again. So let's choose variance. All right, 2, 4, 6. Okay, comma separated number. That was the effect. Wow, 2.666. I guess you are getting the full gist of this. So, Now, finally, I would want us to put in that of to check for the mode and then the standard deviation. All right, don't get tired. This is just the cap, no, the summary of the whole thing. All right, so let's just quickly add that. So the mode is usually the highest in occurrence, and it is done with that frequency. Okay, so mode. Let me define the formula for it as I'll still use this method, copy it, formula, this. So you should go ahead and perform the function. Now, what function is it supposed to perform? It's not supposed to be here. All right. So go ahead and perform what function. Now I want to save frequency as a constant variable that will create an empty object. Okay. So constant frequency is assigned to empty object. All right. Of course, when you see this curly braces, it represents object in JavaScript. Now, for us to check for the numbers using for loop, so numbers for each loop, for each number, you should go ahead and do what? For each number, you should go ahead and perform this function by taking frequency in this number and assign it to making its default to be set at 0. All right. So, but its default, while its default number is set at 0, it will be incremented by 1. In this case, it checks for when 1 has, let's say we have numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Each number, it checks it as an object and checks how many times it has appeared. The first is 0, and then the current one, or its default number is 0. The current one, it counts as 1. If it sees that object again, it counts it at 2. There's no need talking too much. Let's just be putting in the formulas and you'll be seeing it. Okay. For Nigeria, they say, if they play, they show. Okay. So, this, using this function, 0, and then, so we are now incrementing it by 1. For each number, frequency, okay, frequency num, okay, is assigned to frequency. Yes, I didn't get it correctly. So frequency num incremented by 0. Now you are seeing it using that callback. Okay. So the next thing now would be to assign the maximum time, the one that occurred highest, saving it as variable with the variable name maxFreq. Okay, maxFreq. So const, that's the name I would like to use to save it. Max. I could just write it in full as max frequency, but I want to leave it as at this maxFreq is assigned to math dot checking for the maximum of this object, this empty object we have opened. Okay, so remember when we have this triple dot before an array, we are setting it as a rest parameter that allows it to take any argument as array. Okay, so that values frequency. All right, we've assigned it with that variable name called max freq. In this case, it should now return the object return object dot key. All right, object dot keys with the name we save frequency. Okay, so it will now retrieve all the keys in the frequency object, and once it retrieves it, we will use the filter attribute to now make this key to be to appear as strings. Okay, so it leaves only the maximum number, the one that occurred most. So it returns this object keys, the frequency that has been passed, and then we use the filter object or the filter function to format it. All right, so in this case, dot filter key. Oh, okay, we are gradually coming to the end of this tutorial. So frequency key is assigned to max freq. All right, this seems becoming longer. Okay, but it's just the end. So the last one I would like us to add here is this map function. I guess you're noticing some error, but to see how we override that, to know where the error is coming from. Number. So it will now convert these keys, the filtered key that was returned as string will now be converted as number. All right. So frequency, I shouldn't have put this here. Okay, and this shouldn't have been here. Ordinarily, all of them could have been written in the same line. So just like this, dot filter key dot map. But let me just write all of them in one line so that you see it that there are just one. Okay, so return object keys frequency dot filter key, passes it as the function, and then assigns it to max frequency, then using this map dot number to return the strings as numbers. Still coming back, we'll put in this comma that separated numbers as input that it takes. Okay, so put comma here, then paste it. That's simple, that appears simple, that appears simple. And finally, let's key in that of standard deviation. Remember, I need to put comma at the end of this. So standard deviation. Let me copy everything I have here and then paste. Instead of mean deviation, it will be standard. Standard. Okay. So remember, it is taking the same formula. This rest parameter mean is still the same as what we had initially. Then the next thing it will return to us, instead of just returning number that reduce, it is going to be, we also save variance because it takes the square root of variance, and then so let's also save variance as a constant variable. Const variance is assigned to the formula for variance. Okay, and the formula for variance is this you're seeing here. So I copy it to paste it here. That means I do not need it to return this we are seeing here. Rather, it returns the math dot square root variance. Simple. Math dot square root of what? Variance that we just saved. Variance. All right. What do you think I'll do with this? Of course, delete it. Everything. Here, I do not need this. I only need numbers dot. All right. Everything looking good, looking good. Let us now test on what we have and see if it gives us what we want. Okay. So without reloading the page, without reloading the page, if I click on mode, nothing will be appended. But let me now reload it. No error is showing yet. So let me pick mode. Wow. So I'm having these numbers. So let me put in comma 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 6, 7, 9, 10. Okay, 9, 2, 4, 5, 4. Okay, 3, 4, 4, 4. In this case, you and I should know that 4 is not the highest in occurrence. So when I click on it, it gives me 4. All right. So what about that of standard deviation, the last thing we added? Okay. Let me still have 2, 4, 6. It gives us this. The variance for 2, 4, 6 is what? 2, 4, 6 is this. So the square root of this very figure you're seeing here becomes the value for standard deviation. Beloved, I know this must have been a marathon for you watching this. Okay, but I think you must have been, you know, enriched with what you've been watching from all you've been seeing. Okay, so I'd like to see your what you think in the comment section. All right, remember to hit the notification bell for you to subscribe the page. Okay,